live from gray but cooler Hoboken, New Jersey, and the Hoboken Historical Museum. This is Hoboken Talks, a twice-a-month series, online series, where we talk to some of the most interesting characters around town. Activists, entrepreneurs, artists. Hey, there's me in the upper. Oh, there I'm down in. I'm all over the place. They're all archived on YouTube, and you can watch them anytime. But right now, our guest is Chip Heuisler. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Chip? Chip.
That's great.
Here's that's letter. I gotta. That's an old Letterman.
That's great. I love it. That works.
Chip. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jack. It's always great to see you.
Chip is the owner, the sole owner.
Correct.
Of Tunes, the record store, not just records, but also cassettes. No. CDs, oven mitts, stereo, components, turntables, gift items.
Yep, a little bit of everything. You'd everything rank them: vinyl, CDs, DVDs, then lifestyle products, which include oven mitts, of course.
Socks.
Socks. Yes, yeah.
Votive candles.
Prayer candles, we call them, yes.
Prayer candles,
yes.
They're called.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And later this year, 30 years in Hoboken, which is pretty impressive. Chip
hard to believe. Thank you very much.
You haven't made it yet.
I know. December will be 30 years.
No, that's fantastic. And we'll talk about the whole history. If you are watching us live, this is on Thursday, June 26th. Well, if you're watching live. You imagine you're watching on YouTube later. It's live. No, it's live right now. But you can go on and you have a question for Chip, or just a comment that you'd like to make, you type it in there. And our technical director, Rand Hoppy. You there, Rand?
Hello.
He's there. As long as you follow basic rules of politeness, he'll send those comments through, and we'll respond. Chip will respond. And do I have anything else to tell you in advance? I don't think so. So, Vera, who's a bit of a ringer because she works for the the museum, as it's pronounced, says hello, Chip and Jack, and hello to you. Chip, welcome again. And I know I've known you for like 30 years.
You've been to the shop before.
I've come in a time or two. Not as much as Larry. No.
Hey.
I don't know your the full backstory. Where did you grow up? Was music an early interest, or was running a store an early? Right. Tell me about yourself as a kid.
So, I grew up in South Jersey, in Cherry Hill.
Never heard of it. No. They have a water tower.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
I lived close to the water tower, and both my parents were from outside Philadelphia, settled in South Jersey, and I grew up there. Went to high school in Philadelphia. In my house, growing up, we always had music. My father played guitar and was in a couple bands in college.
Okay.
And his record collection was always available to me to listen to. So he had everything from Everly Brothers, Elvis Presley, the rock and roll stuff, to Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Simon and Garfunkel. So it was all there for me to listen to, and I did, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And then so when I
Let's
started,
take a look at young Chip.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean.
So sports also.
Yes. And so when people ask if I ever played an instrument growing up, I say I didn't, and mainly because I was playing sports. Obviously, sports never panned out to be something incredibly successful for me, but I always enjoyed it. So music was something that I was passionate about, but it was mainly as a fan and listening to it, as opposed to putting any time into creating it or playing an instrument myself.
And we are just about the same age, so that photo with the what happened to the stripe? Why did the stripes go away on the socks?
I know.
Those were great. And then a little bit older, we have Rand fell asleep already.
No.
Minutes into it.
Yes, and now you get bonus points, Jack, if you can tell whose concert tea that was, because I did go to the concert.
It's Van Halen.
It's close. It's actually the Kinks.
Wow.
From their State of Confusion tour.
Nice.
At the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. All right. I thought you were going to ask me to name the body of water.
No.
What's that? That's Schuylkill? what is that? What is
Schuylkill? But I love your Philly knowledge. That is.
What is that, in Conshohocken? Where is that?
That is actually in Avalon, New Jersey.
Okay.
And it's a little bay, Yale Harbor in Avalon.
And
I didn't catch
how?
anything.
Yeah, that was my next question.
No.
That was my next question.
Yeah. Much like baseball, my career of fishing did not go too far.
Okay, and then you have a friend named Anthony.
Yes.
Who from the youngest age or when?
High school.
High school.
So we met in high school. He was a year ahead, so I was class of '88 in high school, and he was '87. So we met.
I was '87. All right.
Yeah,
So me and Anthony.
We are close. Yes. Yep. So we met, and we both we met because we were actually on the tennis team together. Back to sports, but we both had a love of music, and so when we thought about the idea of becoming DJs and doing school dances, parties, things like that, we decided to take a year to build our collection. So we just hit all the record stores, especially in Philadelphia. Every now and then we'd make a trip up to New York and go to the Village to Sounds or some of the places where we could get some of the promo cutouts and things like that. They're cheap.
Philadelphia Record Exchange?
Philadelphia Record Exchange was there. There are always places on South Street. And then when I was in high school was when Tower Records opened on South Street. And that was crazy. I mean, I still remember the first time going into Tower Records, the 2 floors, and it was great.
Sure.
So we did that for a year, just building up our collection until we felt we were ready to, put out the shingle and start DJing official things.
And then you did, and we
did. That's our very first
flyer. You haven't had a party until you've had a blast.
Yes.
Fine young DJs.
Yes.
Now the name of I'm a little confused.
Well, no. So I mean, it is
Blast the name of the business?
No. We were Fine Young DJs.
Young DJs.
And part of that was being, big English beat fans when they broke
Fine
up.
Young
Became Fine Young
Cannibals,
Cannibals.
sure.
And the Fine Young Cannibals, and what was the other band that became? General Public. So English beat broke up and became Fine Young Cannibals and General Public. Different members.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay. What's it saying?
Anyway, so that was a little nod to.
And then who do we remember?
Frank Voci.
Frank Voci Designs, 87.
He did, yes.
Shout out Frank Voci.
Yes. Hi, Frank.
And did you get a lot of business with the Fine Young DJs?
All right. Yeah, we did all right. We found, I would say that
All right, now wait. Can we put that image back up? Can we put the image back up?
Thank you,
there?
Eric. I always felt like I had good form. That is.
Here we go. Now, Eric Kammer is. I'll say it every time, but the biggest supporter of Hoboken Talks. Has watched every episode that hasn't been on Shavuot. And went from a viewer to guest to host. So I say that to anyone watching. You know, if you want to sit in this seat, it can happen. It can happen. Eric says, and former Hoboken resident himself, good stance in the batter's box.
Thank you. You can't see the fear in my eyes facing that picture.
And that's the aluminum bat era.
Yes.
There. All right. Let's go back to the. You go. Wait, Charlie, all the way from Carpinteria, California. Charlie Birdwell says, "Hello, Chip and Jack. Tunes is my favorite record store of all time." He's been, around the globe.
Thank you, Charlie.
Love
we
you
love
guys.
you too.
Look at that quiff that he has there. That's a good-looking guy.
That's great.
You and Anthony, I guess, went to college.
Yep. Anthony went to college in Pittsburgh. I went out to California, and then
What did you study?
we actually were both history majors. Which leads perfectly to business.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But he graduates a year earlier. 91.
Yes. And so when he was in college, he had an opportunity to open a shop on the boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey. And he decided, all right, I'll do it. And he opened up, back then, was a kind of a CD and tape. Small, maybe 700-800 square feet. But a great little shop on the boardwalk called Tunes on the Dunes. And there it is. So we had a little mural outside. And he did that during the summers while he was in college.
Right.
And then when he graduated, he did this for that summer.
Season ended, they pulled down the grate.
And then he came out with me to California because he didn't know what he wanted to do. So he went out to California. He had an uncle living there. And it was when he was in California, he decided, you know what? I think I'm going to go back. I'll do Tunes on the Dunes another summer, but I'm going to try and make a go of record stores full time.
Okay.
So summer of 92, he had Tunes on the Dunes. And in the fall of 92, he opened up the first full year, Tunes location in Marlton, New Jersey. And at that point, I had graduated, but I didn't have a career going yet. I was living in D.C., doing some temp work, and we just talked a lot. And at some point in the winter of 93...
As a history major, you might think going into academics, a teacher,
No, I know. And my father had been an attorney, so that was always something in the way back in my mind. But in 93, I decided to move up, help Anthony out with the store in Marlton, and then I went to the beach and ran that while he stayed in Marlton. So for 3 summers, I ran Tunes on the Dunes and then came back in the off season to work with Anthony in Marlton. And it was then that we decided, okay, we need to look for another location.
Right.
We don't really need both of us here all the time. And my sister was living in New York and then had moved to Weehawken.
All right,
and
up the hill.
She just happened to, say, you should. When I told her we were looking to open up another location, she said, you should check out Hoboken. I think it would be great. I said, all right, Anthony, you want to go check out Hoboken? Sure.
Now this discussion is happening, and I want to know the sort of almost exact time. It doesn't have to be the time of day.
No,
but,
this will be the first conversation about Hoboken was summer of 1995, and Anthony and I came up in the fall. So let's just say we came up in September.
Okay, because the record store,
I know,
and a destination record store,
yes,
was Pier Platters,
right?
which was I moved here in '94, and that was very exciting.
Yes.
To go there, but then it went away.
They closed. So they closed in the summer of '95.
Right.
And now my sister, did not know about Pure Platters per se, so it was not. She wasn't thinking like, oh,
from
this
a business
great place
perspective,
just closed.
right.
So
right.
she just liked the town of Hoboken and thought it would be a good fit for a record store. So we came up in September. Pure Platters had already closed, but I think Sam Goody was there at that point.
Sure.
And so Anthony and I just
and
hit,
all that jazz.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. I remember. Oh my God, it's crazy. Anthony and I hit or as many of the realtors as we could, gave them our card, asked them, about commercial spaces, and nothing happened that day. But we sat, being, out of towners, we sat in like Texas, and Arizona, and just watched people pouring off the path, and thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So in October, we got a call from one of the realtors saying that he found a place that he thought would fit the bill. So we came up and we looked at 315 Washington Street, which was vacant and had an old flea market sign on it, and it was in kind of rough shape, but we could see, and it was 900 square feet. So it was a building where the tenants entered in the middle, and then there were 2 commercial units. So we
all right, and I believe we have
yes. So that's the old space
with a bonus in the who do we know who this is here in the
this
busking?
It was Black Dog Records reached out, and I know that Black Dog Records was Pete Anderson. Or I'm pretty sure my memory's correct there. Pete Anderson, Dwight Yoakam's guitarist,
yeah, sure.
had his label that I think was Black Dog Records.
Okay.
And he had some artists that he wanted to, busk. And I said, sure, that's great. So they did.
You shouldn't have busked, though. As it
was a really small shop. So, I mean, they're really... And they weren't necessarily busking. I mean, I think that's just the term you use when you see somebody
no, but it's got the
Makes
case
it look,
open.
yeah.
If I was passing by, I'd throw a dollar in
You're
there.
a nice guy. Of course, you would do that.
If any viewer, and you don't have to be a live viewer...
No.
You can tune in at another point, but if you can identify these musicians, I'll get you a Hoboken Historical Museum t-shirt. That's on me. How about that?
That's incentive.
That's something.
It is. I'm not. No.
Look, I was about to give something away from the story.
We can do that. We can do that.
And I believe the next shot is from
inside the shop.
Inside the shop.
Yes, that is inside the shop. Looking out.
So which direction are we? We're looking from the.
We're looking out. So the light is coming from the inside window. So we're at the back of the store, looking to the front, and you can see that we painted the ceiling with clouds just for whatever reason we felt like it that day.
We probably thought you'd opened up the space.
But I mean, the majority of what we carried then was CDs. I mean, we were really a CD shop.
Well, this is 1995.
And again, it was a 3-year lease, so 95 to 98. 315.
Yeah, big compact disc.
Yeah.
Era.
And one of the things that I'll say is when we opened, if I can go back to the story of, so we signed the lease, we spend, probably over a month to a month and a half fitting it out.
Right.
And so by the time that finishes, it's the first week of December. And it's kind of strange to open up a retail business in December.
Right.
But we're already paying the rent, so it was just one of those things. December 8th, just turn the sign to open.
And in walks Rand, next slide.
In walks our very first customer, Larry. And so we let Larry come in, and he starts looking around, but then I can't help myself. I have to tell him that, he is customer number 1 at Tunes in Hoboken. It was he happened to walk past the day that we turned the sign to open. So he's still a customer and a great guy, and this is us in 2022. He lives in Newark now, but he still comes to the shop.
Fantastic.
So it's great, yes.
Fantastic. Now, which number customer was I? No, I'm not.
Early. You were early. I mean, I remember you well, Jack.
I know my first purchase because I had to come in twice because
Did we not have it?
no. I bought it was the Johnny Cash, the first Rick Rubin
Oh yeah. Great.
produced
Yep.
album.
Cash.
And I believe it's a Cash.
Yeah.
And I brought it home, and there was an error in it, and I brought it back, and you exchanged it.
Oh,
It was
okay.
very,
All right.
very
So,
nice, and I've
yeah.
had a lovely relationship with Tunes
Good.
ever since.
And you've purchased many CDs that have not had errors.
I don't think there's been another one.
All right. Good. Well, thanks for sticking.
And
with
that was
us.
a manufacturer
Okay.
error, not
Yeah.
Tunes had nothing to do with it.
Good,
Yeah.
Good. We'll blame Rick Rubin.
Fine question. From Charlie out in California, when did you start carrying vinyl at 315 Washington? Was there any vinyl in there? Probably had some cassettes maybe, or
No, not
No
at
cassettes?
315. So we moved in 1999, and we definitely had vinyl in 225 pretty early. But the interesting story, especially for local people, we had a good friend that we'd known for a long time, Steve Gritson, who is the owner of Iris Records. And before he had Iris,
yes,
Steve was just, he would stop by the stores, and we ended up having him when we were focused on CDs and DVDs and we're just kind of starting to get back into vinyl. He stocked and ran our vinyl department for a number of years.
I didn't.
I know.
All right, that
And
is
then-
that.
And then at
That was
some
a fun
point,
fact,
yeah.
folks.
See, you learn stuff on Hoboken.
And now
Talks.
look in the background. That's just maybe some of those records are from those days. That unpopular titles that have never been sold.
But once
probably a couple.
once vinyl started picking back up, we decided, we should be doing this on our own. So that's what we did.
And another local figure who I think played an important role in getting some customers in the door because we had this venue Maxwell's
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
up the street, and
Yep.
in the now that again I don't want this interview is not about me. It's about Chip, but first that Pure Platters closed. Then Maxwell's, they sold it, and it became like a brew pub,
Right.
And had like blues cover bands in there.
Yep.
And I was very sad. Why do I live here? but the Tunes opened, and then Maxwell's returned, and if you want to watch my Hoboken Talks interview with Todd Abramson, you can get the full story on that. But returned to its former glory immediately, and walks into Tunes, and
So Todd came in 1996, and so he wanted to wait, I think, a few months to make sure we were legit. But he came in and asked if we'd be interested in carrying tickets for Maxwell shows, which of course we said absolutely. It would be amazing. So that's how it started. We started carrying tickets for Maxwell shows, and we had our box and all the tickets in there, and it was great.
I have many of those paper
Yeah.
tickets, which you
Yeah.
had to give to Mike Rosenberg at the
Yep.
door.
Yep.
But then at the end of the show, they put them on the edge of the bar, and you could pick one up on your way out.
All the tricks.
Oh, you gotta.
Yeah, no, but getting and as a new record store in town, having come in just after this legendary store, and to be honest, I didn't know the full history of Pure Platters until we opened and I moved here.
Right, right.
Because like I said, I'd grown up in South Jersey and Philadelphia and hadn't spent much time in New York, and definitely not in Hoboken. So a lot of people are like, oh, are you associated with Pure Platters? I mean, it was the assumption because there wasn't a lot of time between their closing and our opening. And we had to say no, and some would leave disappointed immediately. No. But getting somebody like Todd to come in and then offer that, so ticket service to us was, you know,
Sure.
a nice stamp of approval in town.
And this I didn't think of till right now. You know, I've been coming for 30 years, right after Larry.
Right.
And, a difference between the two shops.
Yep.
Pier Platters was very much like an indie store, which was fantastic.
Yep.
Tunes right from the get-go, a little more diverse, you know, in what you carry, and I don't think intentional, but as the demographic of Hoboken changed, sort of a perfect transition.
Well, I've never been a judgmental person, and I've never wanted any of my customers to come in and feel not welcome.
Like a high fidelity situation.
Right. No, I mean, so for me, I want to be able to provide whatever music the local community is listening to, whether that's, you know, somebody in high school that has certain tastes or somebody that's, you know, our age in the 50s. So it didn't matter to me. And, you know, we were always trying to carry a range of popular titles from as many genres as we could realistically. And we still do that.
Right.
You know, certain things have gone for, you know, say classical has turned to more of an online seller versus in-store. We just don't have a classical section anymore. And so certain sections have gotten smaller just because supply and demand, but we still want to have rock, jazz, R&B, hip hop, country, folk, blues, all the sections, you know, that
Metal.
we can cover. We have a metal section, and it's definitely it's not it's not a strong point for tunes. There's just a lot of metal that I don't know enough about, but I'm always willing to learn and, you know, mix new product in there, see how it sells. The bottom line for me is if it sells or not. If I have something on the shelves for 6 months and it doesn't sell, either it's the wrong price or it's just not the right product for my store. So
That's logical, but
Yes,
you would
yes.
think maybe, you know, everyone would know that, but everyone doesn't.
right. So and that's also with our shop being with our exactly.
Our man Zeus, and Zeus, I love you. I love you. Says hail to the El Cheapo bin. So
So the cheapo bin is it's basically everything has a dollar price tag on it, but it's 5 for $3 and 10 for $5. So the more you buy, the lower the price goes. So you can get things for 50 cents.
and for a while it was right here.
What? Oh, well, yeah, it has moved around a little bit. I know. It's
But now it's when you come in, it's on the left. You
Yep.
have CDs,
and DVDs,
and then
yep,
vinyl, like dollar ones, are
down low.
down
Yeah,
low
yeah.
in the back.
Yep.
And then outside, is that still a thing?
We used to, but we haven't done that in a while.
Okay.
And now with the heat, sometimes it's just a little bit
All right.
too much. But that was almost always just the extension of the cheapo bin, putting it outside
Right.
to draw people in. But
Let's go. We haven't seen the this is
hi, Mary. Oh, so sweet.
Wait, we haven't even got to the whole. Wait, Mary, wait. You haven't been born yet in this
Story.
All right, so let's. Wait, perfect timing.
Yes,
Perfect timing.
Yes.
All right, so who do we have
So
here?
This is my wife Jennifer, and
when did you two? When and where
so
did you meet?
we started dating in 1995 in New York City. So by moving up and opening the store in Hoboken, I was very fortunate in that, you know, that same month.
It worked out very nicely.
Yeah, it worked out great. Yes. We were at a bar, and I saw Jen, and I'd met her before. She was a friend of a friend, and I thought, you know, I should ask Jen out.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
And then Jen has a friend, Stephanie,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
friends
yeah.
with my friend
Right,
Karen,
right,
and it's all,
right,
who lives
right.
in Hoboken now. So it all.
Yep.
all
And Jen
ties
and
together.
Stephanie were just out last week.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's. The lease is up, and
Yes.
you move to.
So the lease is up, and I want to stay in town, obviously, because I love town and I want a bigger space. So I'm going up and down Washington Street looking for things, and one day I see a sign that says commercial condo for sale. I thought, well, that's interesting. And I peek in, and it's a doctor's office.
Right.
And so contact the realtor, and turns out that, it's a doctor's office, but it can be retail. So we make an offer, we, gets accepted. And so Anthony and I purchased that unit. So it's just just below 1,800 square feet. So just that commercial space is what we own. But we bought that in 1999. So I spent a year or so going month to month in 315 Washington Street. And then we did the renovation and the fit out of 225 and then moved there in, mid-year 99.
And let's, so here we are.
There's the front, yes.
And this was a runner-up for background photo. This could have been
Yeah,
it.
it could have been it.
But, we'll get a consolation prize. And let's look at a few photos in here. Oh, I snuck this one in. Look, I snuck it in there.
You're so sweet,
that's
Jack.
2000.
So
that's early on.
Oh, look at the SYR T-shirt behind there. Sonic Youth Records. I love it.
Now, Bob
Shout out
Bird, are
Steve
you
Shelley.
watching? Is that a bootleg shirt or not?
That's great. Look at that monitor, too. That is sweet. Oh, and we're playing Wilco being there.
The weird things is a film.
that?
Well, yeah, it's nice. That's nice.
That's
All
great.
right.
That's
Hasn't aged a day.
oh, thank you.
So here are mostly, it's obviously taken later, but shows the CDs.
Yep.
Which, so 99, 2000, still CDs are big, but when iTunes and the iPod starts coming around.
Yep.
And are you noticing a drop in?
Absolutely. No, I mean, everything changed. I mean, there was, so in the, when I first started in 93, those first few years were unbelievable for CDs. So if we had, Pearl Jam Versus or Nirvana in Utero, U2 Octung Baby, when those releases came out, we could have midnight sales, and a box lot of CDs is 30 CDs. And you might order, 180 just for the midnight sale.
Right.
And you'd have to order more the next day. So it changed completely to the point where all of a sudden, stepping out on a new release was 10 CDs. So yeah, the landscape changed.
Yeah.
And we're still a small independent retailer, so you're able to kind of change along with it. To do what you have to do to survive.
The next shot is vinyl, and Steve, as you said, is helping you with
early
that.
At this point, now with what you see now.
This is a modern day shot.
Right,
this is
right.
Yeah.
Yep. So and this was just slowly over time, more and more racks and real estate within the store was given over to vinyl. And there are plenty of record stores and great record stores in the country that either got rid of CDs altogether and went all vinyl, or really shrunk their CD sections. One of the reasons why we never did that
is for me.
Is for Jack, but not just you, Jack. But one of the things that we've always done at Tunes is list and sell online.
Right.
And on marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Discogs, and use CDs because of the value are one of the things that we sell a lot of online. And it's an easy 4-ounce package. It's, to pull, pack, and ship a CD is still,
And I would say you were sort of an early adopter with online, but you're pre-Discogs.
Oh yeah. No,
the Amazon.
Yep. We started with half.com, which was
and
because that was a young guy from Philadelphia, and we were when they launched, we were one of their CD stores. And they had our inventory, and then somebody had said, we should check out Amazon if you're doing well on half. thought, well, Amazon, aren't they the bookseller?
Right.
And we ended up putting our inventory on Amazon and couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we're still on Amazon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what year that was, but
Yeah.
you were on the Small Business Report on WCBS.
Wow.
As an example
Okay.
of having survived during
Got it. Yep.
challenging.
And that was definitely because we embraced the used marketplace and selling online. For
Yeah.
sure, that helped out a lot.
All right, let's. We have a, and now this is from a little later, but just.
Yes.
But I thought just because this was a nice
Yeah.
connection with Hoboken. What year did this come out?
Oh God, that's a good question. I mean, but they had the listening release party at Maxwell's, and it was great. And this was well after Maxwell's had changed hands.
Yeah.
But they were able to get that back room and have the listening event there, which was a lot of fun.
And this, and
some of the swag.
also
They reproduced the old tickets as matchbooks, which is cool. That's the actual ticket.
I think
what it
in
looked like.
in the CD you got a reproduced ticket.
Yeah.
That first screen with all the different Hoboken Talks interview, I was talking to Michael Hill, which you can watch on the YouTube archives. But among many other things that he's done, sign the replacements to Warner Brothers.
Yep. I remember learning that when I read the Trouble Boys biography.
Oh boy! Oh, it's so.
Great.
Is there one more photo in this? No,
there's the family.
Mary.
Yes.
Mary, are you still
Mary.
watching? Mary, come in, Mary.
Mary, what show were we at? There you go. This was.
No, wait.
Love it.
Was that a new one, Rand?
No, it was not.
Oh, you cheated.
That's great.
You cheated.
So, Mary and
how come we're
my
not
wife
in the
Jennifer and
corner?
and this was going to see Coldplay in Philadelphia at the Link, which was great.
What's the link?
The Link, Lincoln Financial Field.
Oh,
Just remember, I'm Philadelphia.
Right,
that's
right.
where the Eagles play. So you cropped it so you couldn't see Brian Dawkins, but I understand.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. He's above us. But that was there. You go.
There we go.
Coldplay, she's got it.
And she chimed in before you said it.
I know. I believe yes.
Okay.
But that was,
so you raised a family. And you moved away
Right. From Hoboken, then to Weehawken, and then down to Crosswicks, which is near Bordentown, or as I just tell people, 7A. Exit 7A.
I like Bordentown.
Bordentown's great.
It's halfway between Philadelphia and Asbury Park.
There you go. That's a good. Yeah. Oh, Anna's chiming in. She must not have gotten on her flight.
Now, who's who here?
Mary's
Because
the-
it seems
Mary's-
like you have three identically aged.
No, Mary's the youngest, and this is an old. So Mary's now 21. Anna is the oldest. She's 25.
And that must be the older sister.
Jen's gonna be like, I love Jack.
All right. Beautiful family, raised well.
Jack.
And a thing that I remember Chip telling me a long time ago is Sunday's family day.
Yes, it's still the case.
And maybe the family saying, "What? We never heard that." No. Oh wait, let's go back to the two shot. But I thought that was wonderful. That there was some event or something. Nope.
Yep.
Sunday's family day.
Yep. And Jack, I know you'll appreciate this because it was early on when Jen and I were, just like in the, coming up with gifts for Christmas for the girls. And, I know for me, looking at that shirt saying like, oh, I was at the Kink State of Confusion tour. I know the first show outside of John Denver when my parents couldn't get a babysitter. The first show I went to of my own volition was the Police Synchronicity tour at JFK, and that was
Fantastic.
the Police, Joan Jett, Madness, and REM
Wow.
for Murmur.
Wow.
And that kind of started it all. But the idea that I can remember all these shows, and in high school, Jen, who grew up in Hamilton, we were both at the U2 Joshua Tree concert in Philadelphia. So we decided, you know what, we can remember these shows like years and years later, and they were important. So let's do that for our girls.
Right.
And so whether it was One Direction, Taylor Swift, Coldplay, U2, the idea was let's get them to these concerts and let them experience live music. And, you know, it made a difference. I mean, they do remember those shows, and they still both go to shows as much as they can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So exposing them, you know, early to live music was a big thing.
There's a great story in the Springsteen memoir.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where he's at the Z100 jingle ball with his daughter, and a woman sitting next to them is like, "That my daughter's up on the stage," and it was an early performance by Lady Gaga.
That's great. That's great. Oh, God. And I read that one too, but I don't remember that story. That's great. I love it.
Next up. I want to talk about Record Store Day and the importance. You know, it's also played a role in a revival of
an unbelievable role.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean,
talk. When was the first one?
Oh my God!
Do you remember? I can look it up.
You can look it up. We definitely did not participate in the first one. But you know. Definitely the third. I'd have to look back to see if we're in the second one, but it became apparent very quickly that this was an event.
2008 was the first one,
okay.
So that sounds
right. So
right.
maybe we were 2009 or 2010, but it was clear that this was an event that was incredibly well promoted, organized, run, and the idea that only independent record stores would get these titles.
Yeah,
and it was just, you know, a great way to drive traffic into independent record stores.
I was about to tell you to explain it, but you just did.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine someone watching this particular interview without being aware of Record Store Day, but it's possible.
Yeah. No. It really has done.
Oh wait,
amazing
I wanted to say hello to not my friend Karen. Well, no, also my friend Karen, but my new friend Karen, who I met this evening when you're watching this. To say hi. The Allman Brothers at the Syria Mosque in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's quite a...
Who knew?
And from the next slide, we can see. So this is maybe not.
It's not, but the
idea that people lining up.
That Record Store Day has become, an unbelievable event.
This is actually for the Charlie.
Right. But we do now have people. The first in line will sleep out.
Yeah.
For
the Taylor Swift, different colored vinyl,
whatever it is that year. Yep. No. The list is for Record Store Day, which is Saturday in April. There's usually in the range of 350. Unique titles that are being pressed just for that event in various quantities. And then for RSD Black Friday,
which started some years later.
Right. And that's a scaled down version with, maybe 150, 175 releases for that day. But again, a great way to bring people into independent record stores. And, when it started, it was a way to kind of compete with some of the big boxes, that were having their giant Black Friday sales.
I remember the early years of it, and I would post online that I was going to Record Store Day,
right?
And there would be a couple of like people I went to high school with. They're like, "What's a record store?" But I think the footprint of the awareness factor is much greater because of Record Store Day.
And it is too for a lot of the younger fans that are now getting into vinyl. as their kind of their first foray into physical music, because
Right.
they've been able to stream or do whatever. So much of it is they are really fans and fully invested in artists. So that being a fan of that artist will bring awareness to everything related to that artist. So
Right,
whether
right.
it's tomorrow when the Lord LP comes out, or
James Jordan says, "Old school, baby." Yeah, is this a...
I don't know what that's referring to. Me or
Or is it to the movie,
Yeah, I don't know.
or just that record stores are old school?
yeah, it could
Maybe.
be. Yeah, vinyl.
And we have a shot from. I feel I might have taken this photo.
You could have. Oh, this is actually
No,
This was.
This is not.
This was one of the listening events. That's not to say you couldn't have taken it, because you've been to
I won a test pressing of Pete Yorn.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
But the beauty of record store day is you would have, when you open, a mad rush.
Right.
But then all day long, you have more people.
Oh, yeah.
In the store.
Yeah, it was great. But leave this photo up for one more second, Ryan,
Sure.
because if you can see on the silver brick, there's a poster there, and it's hard to focus in on. But the live show was at Maxwell's. It's got little bicycles on it, but it was Mary Lou Lord, Elliott Smith, and Danielle Howe, with special guest, handwritten in Sharpie marker, Steve Earle. So the idea of Maxwell's, a place that held 200, the idea of seeing Elliott Smith and Steve Earle together in the same night is pretty crazy.
You know who's at that show?
You?
I was at that show.
Oh my God, that's
Because it was
amazing.
part of CM.
Lisa Rizzo. Oh God. Hi Lisa. So good to see you.
Mutual
Yeah.
friend Lisa Rizzo.
Yes.
Wait, can you put that back up? Such good times in the years I worked at Tunes, which was in the early days of 225
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Washington.
Yep.
You've
And real fast, 315 Washington, Elliott Smith did come shop at the store once. So that was pretty special.
fantastic.
Yep.
And Ira Kaplan of Yola
Yola Tango.
Tango.
Yeah.
A regular December 24th
Oh, big time. He
shopper.
was
I don't know
always
if
in
that's
December.
still the case, but
Well, I don't know if in most recent years, but I mean, there was a really good stretch where he was in every December. It was great.
yeah.
Always
Yeah. Still on one more from Record Store Day, or you're telling me it's from something else, but
This is to remind everybody that we buy collections and we will travel.
this is
for
not a Record
collections.
Store Day. I thought.
No,
There
sorry,
was an-
sorry.
okay.
This is still a good.
But you do get in
Promo
big,
spot.
a lot of.
Oh yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah. Well, I didn't want to send you too many photos, Jack. You said 15 to 20, and I felt greedy sending you 30. But listen, this is one of the joys of what we do is, and it's one of the privileges when you get somebody's collection of records that they've collected for a lifetime. There's a lot of meaning for them in these collections. So, my philosophy has always been, if you go there and you treat, whether it's the individual or the family, sometimes if you get it through an estate, if you treat them with respect and, really do a thorough job of praising and making a fair offer, it goes a long way. And I think a lot of families like the idea that their, records or their loved ones' records will be in a record store for the next listener.
And Rand, can we go back to just us for a? I did, so people, you absolutely accept, trade-ins that's been a big part of the business.
Absolutely.
Vinyl,
Yeah.
CDs, DVDs. Can people
Yes.
bring in oven mitts?
No. We
no.
draw the line there.
All right,
For
those are all
used oven mitts.
Those are on brand new.
Yeah,
Okay.
only new.
Okay, but any music,
Good question, though.
music media.
Used oven mitts. Jack.
It's probably a collectible.
Yeah.
All right. Now, during the I don't know what year, but the Tunes brand, it was expanding.
Oh yeah.
I had a Tunes. I must still have the shirt
Yeah.
because I don't throw anything away. But it had many shops
Right.
down the back
Yep.
of it. So
Yeah.
you ended up with.
So Anthony and I, we were definitely in expansion mode for a while. So after Hoboken, there was Voorhees, then Turnersville, then New Brunswick, then Northfield, briefly a store in Baltimore. So we expanded, and so at one point there were 6 locations. Tunes on the Dunes was the first one, the seasonal shop that we stopped, doing that. But over time, you already alluded to some of the challenges that,
Sure.
stores are facing, but also being just stretched a little thin. So as leases would expire, a lot of times we would decide to just, okay, have a sale and then transfer remaining inventory to the other stores. And then in 2018, Anthony was looking for a change and wanted to, focus on, really just selling online, and
Right.
he was not as excited about being a record store owner. So when we split things up, I ended up that's when I became the sole owner of Hoboken. And then he ended up having Marlton and Voorhees, and he had a store closing sale in Marlton,
Okay.
and then ended up just after during the pandemic when the reopening happened, his employees in Voorhees bought that location. So the Tunes in Voorhees is still there.
Okay,
We
so
still
that
share the
explains
name.
Ran the next shot because I was like,
Recognize that?
what the heck?
Yeah.
When I go to Philadelphia,
Right.
I'll stay in
Right.
Cherry Hill,
Yeah.
and then right next door is
Oh,
Voorhees.
Yeah.
That was weird because
You didn't. Yeah.
no, I knew it was there, but
yeah.
like inside, it doesn't look too different
Right.
from it's
Yeah.
it's smaller.
Yep.
But even the little
bin
plastic
cards.
bin cards, same font.
Yep. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. No, they're good guys.
Yeah. No,
a good shop.
I've been in there a couple of times. And,
Oh, good.
Nice young. What?
Yeah.
You mind mentioning his name?
Evan Lynch is, he's one of the owners, but there are multiple. But Evan's the one that I'll, talk to the most.
Right.
So.
All right. Another, and the challenges don't go away. We went to iTunes and buying and downloading, and then Spotify arrives,
Yep,
and
streaming.
for a lot of young people, and you want to define that however you want.
Right.
They may never want to experience physical media.
No, that's possible. I mean,
Possible.
for the way I look at it, though, is we're all fans of music, and however you're going to consume that, I have no problem with it. And I think that one of the things with streaming services like Spotify is the ease with which somebody can be exposed to so much music. So, should somebody decide that, I'd like to have an LP collection, now they can listen to so much stuff, and they may end up buying jazz LPs or blues LPs that they wouldn't have just walked into a shop and bought, but they can listen endlessly to whatever they want and
Right.
say, you know what, yeah. So there's a lot of ways that the streaming services actually expand people's music consumption and music tastes. So I don't have a problem. I mean, I use them myself.
I think I do believe that, but there are most people who are at least curious want to hold something,
and
want to read
right.
some names,
Right, and so
look at some art.
And I absolutely agree with the sound quality in terms of when you listen to a CD or an album. Sometimes it just sounds right, but it's not that streaming sounds bad necessarily. But I think you're right in the tangible aspect of a record or a CD is what's really kind of drawing people in.
Right,
and
right.
for records, especially, you have to take it out of the sleeve, take it out of the inner jacket, put it on the turntable, drop the needle. You have to be really involved in the whole process of listening.
Yeah.
So
But the only reason I brought that up in that, you've kept finding ways to keep tunes vital and alive,
Right,
and these events that you've been having.
Right.
First, there's been a pause, but you've had some in-store live music.
Right.
I saw the front bottom several years ago.
Yeah, that was huge.
But also these listening parties.
They're listening parties. Yep.
Okay, and we have
So
several
that's
of these
Queens
shots.
of the Stone Age there.
Okay.
Shout out to Theron in the middle. I see him.
There,
Hey, Joe. I
Joe
see you,
Castriani.
I see you, Joe.
What's this? I don't know.
This one, let's see. That one's hard to tell. I don't see any specific bags or anything to tell on that one. So
Okay.
that's Green Day, Saviors.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
notables in this crowd? But
Robert in the front.
It's just great.
Jiffy Jim in the back. I see him.
Did you anticipate that the store would be packed during these
So,
events?
and I don't think we have pictures here, but we didn't know what it was going to be like until Paramore, and we
Okay.
had a Paramore event that was just. I had no idea that
And
we
that was
had-
like the return of Paramore. That wasn't even
right. And so our capacity fire code is 115.
Yeah.
And we had to cut off the Paramore event.
Wow.
We had 115, but we had extra people. Luckily, we have speakers, so we turned the outside speakers on and up, and some people listened to the event outside.
Wow.
And the labels are doing a great job. They're offering, value adds. They're offering things that are going to be raffled off to lucky winners. So
Yeah.
it's been great. Again, it's just like Record Store Day, and the Record Store Day promoters have a lot to do with this. Another way to drive people into independent record stores.
Fantastic. And we have a few
great.
more of these.
The
aforementioned, so people
the
were waiting in
XCX
line
Yep.
during the day for the evening event.
Yep. That was obviously a very big one.
Look, and she has like a themed top.
People were into it. Yeah. Yep. No, it's great. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, but
and who even knows what
it's just great to see, that many people in the shop enjoying, usually these events are pre-release, so it's the idea that it hasn't even dropped.
Wow, okay.
On streaming services yet, so they get to listen to the whole album for the first time in advance of, and have a shot at some prizes, or at least everyone gets some, giveaway item, and then they can also pre-order the vinyl from us if they want.
Fantastic. Anything coming up that we should put in our calendars, or you're not allowed to say?
No, I have to look. So I've got to go, and this is the one thing I need to be a little bit better at, making sure I don't miss deadlines to sign up for these things. That's the one thing as an kind of an owner operator. Sometimes I don't make as much time for the things that
Sure,
maybe I should.
Sure.
That's one of the challenges of retail in general.
And I wanted to close out with you've had some you've had bands come in, and Larry. How about Mayor Bala?
I know he stopped by. It's always good to see.
That was when I feel like Dave Calamaneri had something to do with those red bags.
Shop small for Small Business Saturday.
Fantastic.
Yep. Dave's a great guy. Shout out to Dave too.
Absolutely. A wonderful guy. And then, hey,
Robert
how about
Pollard? Yep, I know.
Guided by Voices was playing at White Eagle Hall.
As they do, yeah.
And then came in that afternoon
Yep.
just to shop.
And a great customer in terms of he really goes through the entire vinyl section and pulls out some good pieces.
Fantastic.
And I think everywhere they tour, he's hitting stores and buying vinyl.
Wonderful.
So, that was
and then did I slip another one?
Look at that, sweet.
Now wait a minute, but I did this for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Because we have John Langford in the middle of the Mekons, the mighty Mekons, who are next month playing at White Eagle Hall. I believe tickets are still available.
We have to check with that guy right there, Todd. We'll find out. I think
Great.
they are, but yes.
I think there's I think a lot of tickets have been sold, but that's a big room.
Yeah, no, that's great. And John Langford, and thank you, Todd, for getting John Langford in the shop. He was amazing.
He played a live set with Gene Cook.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
Great.
And that's me, folks.
I know.
And also a shout out to Jennifer O'Connor, the T-shirt I'm wearing,
great.
who we mentioned in the last episode with Tom Beaujour, who so you can find that on the archive. But he's her regular producer, so it all ties together.
Another great book. Tom
Yes,
Beaujour.
well that's we.
Jeez.
Now is that for sale at the?
I don't know if we have that in right now, but that was nothing but a good time.
You have the Bob Burt book is still
good.
available.
All right, that's good. And we also have the flyers for. He's a great customer. Comes in a lot. Love Bob, and his show is at the 503 Social.
Right. Yeah, I think he'll be there on Sunday. Tish. Charlie chimes in again. The first record I purchased was a Johnny B. Good 45 in 1959, but I only buy records now at Tunes.
There you go. We ship to California.
Fantastic.
My first record was The Who, Kids Are All Right. Do you remember your first?
Yes, parents took my sister and I to a record store, and we each got to buy one record, and I chose Queen News of the World.
Nice.
My sister bought the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Both of which still sell today.
Both fine records.
Yep, absolutely.
And one thing I wanted to say for sure is you have hired so well over the... No, you're laughing, but... like I have made like lifelong friends from your tune hires, and so from the beginning to this is right now because she was
Sonia.
at Stevens.
Yep.
And but hello, Sonia.
Sonia's great. Yeah.
And there's a ringer. This is not an employee in the
Right. Teddy Swims.
Teddy Swims, which was an event.
Yeah, that was an event.
Well.
He was amazing. That was great.
But your two real mainstays right now, Dylan
and
Deanna.
Yeah. No, they're great.
Are fantastic.
They are.
So
they do a great job.
Kudos to you, because that makes the. You know, I mentioned high fidelity earlier, but you don't want a confrontational, snobbish person.
Right. I mean, listen, I think. No, I mean, look, I've 93, so I've been doing it 32 years.
Yeah, let's go back to the two shot for.
So 32 years, and I mean, I've literally never not wanted to go to work. So I've enjoyed working for 32 years, and I think that's one of the advantages when somebody does come to work at Tunes. You know, you need to be productive and get things done, and have customer service skills, things like that. But the bottom line is, you're in a record store listening to music all day, talking to people about music. So I mean, there are worse things you can do with your day.
Right. That's all. Unless there's anything you want to add, anything you want to tell the customers out there.
I just want to thank you for thinking of me for Hoboken Talks. I've loved being a part of this, community and business community for coming up on 30 years.
Well, really hard for me to express how important the existence of Tunes has been to my continued love of Hoboken. As the town has weathered some cultural changes in the 30 years, but so to have that as a mainstay in a place that I can come in and that just calms me down. I've always, if I'm all stressed out, go to a record store and flip through and buy something, and I feel better.
Well, it goes both ways. You calm us down when you walk in too. It's always great when Jack visits.
So thank you so much, everyone. Visit Tunes at 225 Washington Street.
Yep.
and you're on the social media. Do a great job with the Instagram.
Try.
For those events, you can follow them there. Facebook, of course. Discogs.
Yes. And I will give one last plug, sorry.
Do it.
So tuneshoboken.com, which is our website. What you may not know is that that's actually our distributor's warehouse in Kentucky. So we can only stock a certain number of titles. Let's say we have 2,000 new pieces of vinyl, but they may have 200,000. So anything you find on our website, you can buy and just pick, in-store pickup, and we'll just get it for you and call you when it's in the store, or you could have it shipped. But just so you know, it's another thing.
Chip Heuisler, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thanks,
I really
Jack.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for having me.
And that was our guest, Chip Heuisler, owner of Tunes Record Store, 225 Washington. Open 7 days. Now, coming soon, how about Roseanne Versace? After that, Damien Uva. A lot of Uvas in this town over the decades. Which strand is Damien on? We'll find out. I want to thank the New York Historical Commission for their... New Jersey? Right, no, but I also want to thank I have some personal thanks for the New York Historical Commission, but the New Jersey Historical Commission is who supports this particular show. Now, the Shipyard Circle. I'm going to name them all because these are some big supporters of the museum, but what I always stress is if you just come in and put a few dollars in the box to visit the museum, you are so important to the museum and you keep the museum going. If you hit the lotto and you're able to be, among the Shipyard Circle, fantastic. Tom Brennan and Nicole Amato. How about Andy Carlson, who's doing it in honor of Caroline Carlson? That's beautiful. Claire and Peter Ocasio, Cynthia Cray, our own Bob Foster, the director of the museum. He gets a salary and then gives it right back. Holly Metz, his lovely wife, writes a lot of the text for the displays here. Gregory Delaquila and Leah Delaquila. They are great. How about the estate of Myrna Casser? She was like, bring me my will. Please add the museum to it. Cool. Jerry Fallow, you've heard that name. She's been a guest on this show, interviewed by me. Beth Feinstein. How about Monica Girotra and Devjit Nayar? Barbara Gross, a friend that I met here at the museum. Trish Hendricks in memory of Robert F. Sabosky, who you might know as Bob Sky. How about Larry and Diana Enriquez? How about Valerie Huffnagel? Did anyone go on a Secret Garden tour? You saw some excellent work by Valerie Huffnagel. And Susan Gamba, Turab Hussein, Rena Joshi, Catherine Kingsbury, Annette and Anthony Lenge, Nancy Lynch and Chris Faulkner, Regina Marchi and Roberto Vertelli, Michelle and James May, Lori Michelson, Merritt Patterson and Joan Patterson, James Perry and Rose Perry, Michael Sager and Tony Castellano in memory of Jackson Sager. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. Justin Silverman, Irene Sobolov, she's a Facebook friend of mine, and Ivan Sobolov. Stella Strasdis and Hank Forrest, William Tobias, great couple, Kate Valenta and Alex Johnston, Anthony Vetrano, Chris Wiley. We had Peter Wiley on here. Now Chris Wiley's on here too. Fantastic. Iron State. They're the landlords here at the museum, to put it simply, but the rent very low. You heard about the El Cheapo bin at Tunes? How about $1 a year? Not bad. Not bad. Coming up soon is a brand new, I got a little sneak peek, but it's not totally up yet. Coconut Mask Expo by Bebe Bamboo. And there's going to be, Rand, there's an artist talk coming up. When is that?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night. I don't have my readers on. Chip, you can still talk. It's allowed. Tomorrow night at 7. If you're watching this before 7 p.m. on Friday, go to the YouTube and it'll be live. Or on Facebook. You can watch it there too. This exhibit opens next. Where are we? This Sunday. That's when they happen. 2 to 5. There's a reception. It's going to be open for a month. Again, you can just see from these 3 images, and I can see 2 more images. It looks awesome. So you'll definitely want to see this in the upper gallery. And not just that. Bebe Bamboo is going to lead a mask making workshop on 3 Sundays here at the museum. So you'll want to sign up for those. Do you have to sign up for those, Rand, or can you just show up?
No, sign up.
Sign up. Go to the website. Sign up. The main exhibit downstairs, if you haven't been here yet to see this, come and see it. The Hoboken Meadows, we're kind of built on swampland. And you recognize that when there's a big storm. But look, there's an amazing photo. These are, again, just 2, but you read about it and how they turned this land into the Hoboken that you know today. You can help. Let's say you don't have a dime to spare. It's okay. We're here for you. But you could still help us by, on the social media, make a comment on the social media post. Just click like. You have a buddy who loves record stores, share the video, share, and subscribe and follow us. That helps a lot. It feeds the beast that is the algorithm. So we thank you for that. For the Hoboken Historical Museum, my name has been Jack Silbert, here with Director Rand Hoppy and our guest this week, who was Chip Heuisler. Say goodbye to the folks, Chip.
Goodbye. Thank you again, Jack and Rand.
So long.
So long.